How's it going, everyone? In this video, we're going to talk through the Declaration of Independence. We're going to give a broad level overview to discuss who wrote it, who it was addressing, what its impacts were, and then just a brief summary of what it talks about, along with some quotes along the way. So, as I just mentioned, this is a video about the Declaration of Independence. Let's start with who wrote it. So the author of the Declaration of Independence, really authors, are Thomas Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson, Adams, and also Franklin. Now, the date of publication, this is a very famous date, and that's July 4th of 1776. So July 4th, 1776, that's the date of publication. The audience, or really who it was addressing, is the King of England as well as the American people. And the subject, or what it was about a little bit, is severing relationship with the King of England. King of England. America declaring its independence. So the document format was a petition, and is it justiciable law? The answer is no, it cannot be used in courts. Now, some influencing authors are Thomas Hobbes as well as John Locke. So we'll go ahead and write that in. So Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. And here are the relevant topics in the Declaration of Independence. The idea of a social contract, the idea of limited government, a right to revolution, the idea of republicanism, popular sovereignty, the consent of the governed, and natural rights and laws. So next, let's jump down into again, a broad level summary of the Declaration of Independence. So this is the final petition to the king for redress of grievances. So let's go ahead and fill that in. Redress of grievances from the colonies. So there were several, including the Olive Branch petition, and these all pointed out flaws by the king, giving him the chance to correct his actions. It also establishes natural law and how natural law supersedes all else. It also establishes the fact that natural law supersedes all else, and those are that mankind has the right to life, liberty, and property, and the pursuit of happiness is really another closely related term from Locke's writing on education. Okay, also it mentions that the king has limited powers delegated by people. Delegated by people to govern. So it's not like the king has his power handed down from God, but instead has some powers delegated by people. So not God-given, actually delegated by the people. So when the king has tyrannically violated these core rights, subjects retain power to rebel. Subjects retain power to rebel. So petitions require a listing of grievances from the citizens, and the colonists list them. So the King of England continuously violated contracts with colonial legislatures, colonial legislatures that destroyed popular sovereignty by giving Parliament ability to restrict trade, house soldiers, obstruct colonial legislatures, forbid representation, pass taxes without consent, and also maintain standing armies in peace, and trying citizens without representation of their peers. Now, swearing by God of natural law that the colonies are severing ties with the king. Severing ties with the king, and therefore with England as a whole. So that's, again, a broad level overview or summary of the Declaration of Independence. Now, these famous quotes here are mostly for your reference, so I'm going to kind of fill in some of these blanks, but you can kind of read through these on your own to have some famous quotes from the Declaration that you can potentially use in the future. So, natural law established natural rights. So that was, the statement of, we hold these truths to be self-evident. So pursuit of happiness was actually Jefferson's more creative take on John Locke's idea of property. Also, this idea of a social contract, popular sovereignty, and consent of the governed also is incorporated. So social contract, popular sovereignty, and consent of the governed. And again, these quotes are there for you to read through and be able to, kind of draw different pieces from this foundational document. And also, it established this idea of a right to revolt. Okay, the right to revolt. So if government stops protecting natural rights, then the people can revolt. Okay? People can revolt. Now, some impacts and some effects before we get into a big idea connection that we need to be able to take away from the Declaration of Independence. So one of the impacts is that it created a framework of goals. So I'll say a framework of goals to understanding America's Republican form of government that moves through popular sovereignty. Now, critical ideas about popular sovereignty have evolved over time surrounding how the people participate in governing and decision-making themselves, either directly or through elections. So Congress has declared the Declaration of Independence as an organic law, which means that it is one of 4 laws that acts as a foundation to American law. But you can't really use the Declaration in courts. Therefore, it's called non-justiciable law. Instead, Americans use the Declaration to frame who we are, specifically examining the idea that citizens are theoretically equal in opportunity to participate in government. And there's debate over whether or not we are obligated to expand original understandings of who we ought to participate in government are rooted in this document, of who ought to participate in government. All of those ideas are rooted in this document as well. It also underscores the importance of dissent and freedom of speech in American society. So dissent, so disagreement, and freedom of speech in American society. Citizens can't logically petition the government for a correction of wrongdoings or wrongs if one's dissenting speech is not protected against retribution. And it also established that a limited government is a structure created to provide order, but also carves out space for liberties. And the last thing here that we'll say as a major impact is that governments must seek out popular consent from their subjects. Consent from their subjects. In the United States, this is done through regular elections in which citizens participate in selecting representatives through those elections. So now the last thing that we're going to talk about, a big idea connection to take away from this video, is that we want to be able to connect the Declaration of Independence to why a balance between governmental power and individual rights has been a hallmark of American political development. And that is a little bit of a quick video, a little bit of a quick take on the Declaration of Independence. We'll see you in the next one.